I knew everything was about to change when I heard my wife's laughter echo through the courtroom speakers. Not the gentle laugh I fell in love with years ago, but something colder, calculated. You know what's funny? Vanessa's voice rang out clear as a bell. I Googled fake abuse injuries, and BuzzFeed actually had a guide. Idiots online will believe anything if you cry hard enough. The smirk on her face cracked like thin ice as she realized what was happening. In that moment, the victim became the villain, and 6 months of my silent suffering finally had purpose. My name is Aaron Mitchell, 37, a software engineer who always preferred the predictable logic of code to the unpredictable nature of people. I met Vanessa during a charity gala where my company was sponsoring a table. She was vibrant, charming, and seemed genuinely interested in my quiet world. Where I was reserved, she was expressive. Where I calculated, she created. Our differences complemented each other, or so I thought. We married after 2 years of dating. I still remember her vows. "Aaron, you're the steady ground beneath my wings." I believed her. We bought a modest house in the suburbs with a backyard perfect for the family we planned. When Lila was born 3 years later, I felt complete. My daughter had my analytical mind and her mother's expressive eyes. I worked from home 3 days a week just to be present for her first steps, her first words. Our life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Vanessa sometimes complained I was emotionally unavailable, but I showed my love through actions, making breakfast every morning, handling our finances meticulously, building Lila a treehouse by hand. Words didn't come easily to me, but devotion did. For 8 years, I thought we were building something unbreakable. Even when Vanessa started becoming more distant, spending hours on her phone and staying out later with new friends from her photography class, I trusted her. I respected her need for space and social connection that my introverted nature didn't require. I was a fool. The small things accumulated slowly, like water damage before a collapse. Vanessa started criticizing me in front of friends, subtle jabs about my boring career or how I was no fun anymore. She'd roll her eyes when I spoke, as if everything I said was tedious. Our intimate life dwindled to nothing, always with a new excuse. Her social media presence grew exponentially. She rebranded herself as some kind of lifestyle guru, posting cryptic quotes about finding strength through hardship and escaping toxic relationships. Her followers ate it up, sending supportive comments that hinted at some unspoken trauma she was enduring. Then came the unexplained absences. Photography classes that ran until midnight. Weekend workshops that required overnight stays. Her wardrobe changed, more revealing, more expensive. New jewelry appeared that I hadn't purchased. When I gently questioned anything, I was controlling and paranoid. Lila started acting differently too. She became anxious when I entered rooms, sometimes crying when I tried to hug her. I couldn't understand why until I overheard Vanessa on the phone one evening. "I told Lila that if she doesn't act scared around Aaron, the judge won't believe us," she whispered, not realizing I was in the hallway. "Yeah, I know it's messed up, but this is war, Jeremy. I need full custody if we're going to get the house." Jeremy. The name hit me like a physical blow. Her photography instructor. The man who had been to our home for dinner twice, who had complimented my grilling skills while apparently plotting to take my life apart. That night, I found evidence on her poorly secured cloud account. Hundreds of messages, dozens of explicit photos, and video calls with this man I had welcomed into my home. But what truly broke me wasn't the affair. It was the systematic campaign to destroy me. They had been planning it for months. Fabricated journal entries detailing abuse that never happened. Rehearsed stories about my controlling behavior and violent outbursts. Vanessa had even started a private Instagram account documenting her escape plan from her abuser, complete with filtered photos of her crying and inspirational quotes about surviving domestic violence. I was being erased and rewritten as a monster, The breaking point came when I received an email from Lila's school counselor asking to schedule a meeting about concerning statements Lila has been making about her home environment. That same evening, I was served with divorce papers and a temporary restraining order based on fabricated allegations of domestic abuse. I was given 2 hours to pack essentials and leave my own home, the home I had saved for years to buy, the home where my daughter took her first steps. As I packed a suitcase with shaking hands, I heard Vanessa on the phone in our bedroom laughing. "It worked perfectly," she said, voice light with victory. "You should have seen his face, Jeremy. Complete shock. Oscar-worthy, right? The lawyer says with the restraining order on record, I'll get the house, full custody, and he'll be paying us to visit his own kid. God, I can't wait until you can move in officially." Something cold and clear crystallized inside me. This wasn't an impulsive betrayal or a marriage gone wrong. This was premeditated destruction. They weren't just taking my family. They were taking my reputation, my relationship with my daughter, my financial future, and my dignity. I understood then that playing fair against someone who had abandoned all rules would only ensure my complete annihilation. If I tried to simply tell the truth against her practiced performances, I would lose everything. The system wasn't designed to handle this level of calculated manipulation. As I walked out of my home that night, watching Vanessa's silhouette in the window, I made a decision. I would not fight dirty. I would not sink to her level with false accusations or emotional outbursts. I would be smarter, more patient, more strategic. I would let her believe she had won while meticulously gathering every thread of her deception. The beauty of being underestimated is the freedom it provides. Vanessa thought I was broken, a predictable, emotionally stunted engineer incapable of strategic thinking. She expected me to rage, to make mistakes, to give her more ammunition. Instead, I disappeared. I rented a small apartment across town and told no one where I was staying. I took a leave of absence from work, citing personal reasons. I hired 3 people, a top-tier divorce attorney who specialized in false allegations, a retired FBI cybersecurity expert who now worked private cases, and a digital forensics specialist who had testified in over 50 high-profile cases. I paid them through a shell consulting company I quickly established, ensuring Vanessa couldn't trace the expenses. The retainer fees nearly emptied my personal savings, but I knew this was an investment in my future, and more importantly, in Lila's. My attorney advised me to follow the restraining order to the letter while we built our case. The cybersecurity expert began the meticulous work of accessing everything legally accessible: cloud accounts we had shared, backup drives, synced devices, and public social media. The digital forensics specialist developed a timeline of communications, proving inconsistencies in Vanessa's claims. I didn't respond to her provocative texts. I didn't defend myself against her social media jabs. I didn't react to the TikTok videos where she tearfully alluded to abuse without naming me directly. Each post, each message, each video became another piece of evidence in our growing collection. For 6 months, I maintained complete radio silence while continuing my court-approved supervised visits with Lila. During these visits, I never said a negative word about her mother. I never questioned her about home life. I simply focused on being her father, reading her favorite books, helping with homework, being the steady presence she needed. Meanwhile, Jeremy had practically moved into my house. Vanessa's social media showed them together in their new beginning, though she was careful never to explicitly mention him by name, maintaining her victim narrative for her growing follower count. The most damning evidence came from their own carelessness. They recorded videos mocking me, rehearsing her testimony, coaching Lila on what to say to evaluators. They didn't bother with strong security because they assumed I was too technologically inept to access anything, forgetting that writing secure code was literally my profession. The temporary custody hearing was scheduled for June 15th. 2 weeks before that date, I gathered my team for a final review of our evidence. We had everything: Contradictory statements, proven timeline inconsistencies, social media posts that contradicted sworn affidavits, and most importantly, videos of Vanessa and Jeremy explicitly discussing their fabrications. My attorney looked at me after reviewing everything and said simply, "In 20 years of practice, I've never seen someone so thoroughly documented. She's going to lose everything." That wasn't my goal, though. I just wanted my daughter back and my name cleared. But as we reviewed the cruelty of their manipulation, especially involving Lila, I felt a cold certainty that whatever happened to Vanessa now was entirely of her own making. The day of the custody hearing arrived with theatrical perfection. Vanessa strutted into court wearing an ivory suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, clutching tissues preemptively. Her attorney, a sharply dressed man with a reputation for aggressive tactics, nodded confidently to her as she took the stand. For 2 hours, I sat silently as she wove a masterful fiction about our marriage. She described me as controlling, emotionally abusive, prone to terrifying anger that had escalated in the months before she bravely escaped. She claimed I monitored her phone, isolated her from friends, belittled her dreams, and created an atmosphere of fear that had traumatized both her and Lila. The performance reached its crescendo when she described the night that finally made her realize they weren't safe. "He punched the wall just inches from my face," she testified, voice breaking perfectly on cue. "I could feel the drywall dust on my skin. That's when I knew my daughter and I weren't safe anymore." Her attorney asked if she had feared for her physical safety. "Every day," she whispered, a single tear tracking dramatically down her cheek. When her testimony concluded, my attorney stood for cross-examination. Instead of the aggressive questioning Vanessa was clearly prepared for, he simply asked, "Mrs. Mitchell, have you ever recorded yourself discussing your allegations against my client?" She frowned slightly. "I don't understand the question." "Let me clarify," my attorney said calmly. "Have you ever recorded yourself discussing the truthfulness of your allegations against Aaron Mitchell?" "Objection vague," her attorney called out. "I'll rephrase," my attorney said smoothly. "Your Honor, at this time we'd like to introduce evidence relevant to Mrs. Mitchell's testimony and credibility." The judge nodded, and I stood. Vanessa's eyes widened slightly as I walked to the front of the courtroom. For the first time in 6 months, I spoke directly to her. "I'm sorry it came to this," I said quietly, before turning to the judge. "Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to introduce video evidence that directly contradicts the testimony just given." The judge gestured to proceed. The bailiff dimmed the lights as the large screen at the front of the courtroom came to life. Vanessa appeared first, relaxed on what was clearly our couch, wine glass in hand, laughing with someone off camera. "You know what's funny?" she said. "I Googled fake abuse injuries, and BuzzFeed actually had a guide. Idiots online will believe anything if you cry hard enough." Jeremy's voice responded, "You're too good at this. It's almost scary." The video cut to another clip, Vanessa in our bedroom, practicing facial expressions in the mirror while Jeremy directed her like a filmmaker. "No, more vulnerable. Remember, you're scared for your life," he instructed. "Try thinking about that sad commercial with the dogs." She adjusted her expression, produced instant tears, and whispered, "He punched the wall inches from my face. I could feel the drywall dust on my skin." "Perfect!" Jeremy exclaimed. "The wall punch story is genius because it's threatening but doesn't require visible bruises." The courtroom was absolutely silent as the video continued, showing multiple clips of them rehearsing testimony, laughing about how boring I was, too predictable to fight back effectively. The most damning clip came last, Vanessa coaching Lila before a custody evaluation. "Remember what Mommy told you?" Vanessa said to our confused daughter. "When they ask about Daddy, you say he makes you scared." "But Daddy doesn't make me scared," 7-year-old Lila protested. Vanessa's voice turned cold. "If you don't say it, they'll take you away from me." Do you want that? Do you want to lose Mommy? Lila began crying as Vanessa continued. Just tell them he yells and breaks things. It's like a game, okay? A very important game that Mommy needs to win. The video ended with Vanessa and Jeremy discussing their future plans. Wait until the court gives me full custody, she said, smiling wickedly. Aaron'll have to pay me to visit. We can use the child support to renovate the master bathroom. To us, Jeremy toasted, clinking his glass against hers. And to your Oscar-worthy performance. When the lights came back up, Vanessa's face had drained of all color. Her attorney was frantically writing notes, looking increasingly disturbed. The judge's expression had transformed from neutral to thunderous. Where did you get that? Vanessa hissed at me, forgetting herself. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My attorney stood. Your Honor, we have extensive additional evidence documenting a pattern of deliberate deception, perjury, and emotional abuse of a minor for the purpose of gaining financial advantage in these proceedings. We are prepared to present all of it, but I believe this initial video speaks for itself. Vanessa's attorney stood up, gathered his papers, leaned over to whisper something to her, and then addressed the court. Your Honor, I need to request a brief recess to confer with my client. The judge's face was stone. Denied. Counselor, are you continuing representation? Her attorney hesitated, then said, No, Your Honor. I am withdrawing from this case, effective immediately. He packed his briefcase and walked out without looking at Vanessa. The judge turned to Vanessa, who was now genuinely crying. Mrs. Mitchell, do you wish to explain what we've just witnessed? It's not what it looks like, she stammered. Those videos are edited, taken out of context. We have the complete, unedited versions available, Your Honor, my attorney interjected, along with forensic verification of their authenticity and chain of custody. The judge held up his hand for silence. I've seen enough. The temporary restraining order against Mr. Mitchell is hereby dissolved. Full physical and legal custody of the minor child is granted to the father, effective immediately. He looked directly at Vanessa. Mrs. Mitchell, you will have supervised visitation only, pending a complete psychological evaluation. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for investigation into charges of perjury, filing a false report, and attempting to use the court to commit fraud. He turned to me. Mr. Mitchell, do you wish to make a statement to the court? I stood, looking at the woman I had once loved, now a stranger. No, Your Honor. I just want to take my daughter home. The collapse of Vanessa's carefully constructed life happened with breathtaking speed. The court ordered her to vacate our house within 48 hours, as my name was the only one on the deed. Her bank accounts were frozen pending investigation into potential fraud related to her social media earnings, where she had solicited donations based on her false abuse claims. Her employer, a marketing firm that prided itself on ethical standards, suspended her indefinitely after the video leaked online. I never leaked the video. To this day, I don't know who did. But within 24 hours of the hearing, clips were trending on every platform. TikTok influencer exposed for fake abuse claims. Court video shows, mother coaching child to lie about father. Custody case reveals elaborate deception. The internet's judgment was swift and merciless. Her social media accounts became graveyards of outraged comments. Women like you are why real victims aren't believed. You used your own child as a weapon. Disgusting. Hope the judge throws the book at you. Her sponsors dropped her overnight. Podcasts that had featured her survival story deleted her episodes. The support community she had cultivated turned against her completely. Jeremy disappeared from her life within hours of the hearing. When she called him from the courthouse steps, desperate and crying, he blocked her number. When she went to his apartment, his roommate informed her he had already packed and left town, leaving no forwarding address. Her final text to him, retrieved later during the criminal investigation, read, "Please don't abandon me now. I did all of this for us." His only reply, Liability. Her parents, who had supported her claims initially, publicly distanced themselves after seeing the evidence. Her father was quoted in their hometown paper saying they were ashamed and heartbroken by her actions. I didn't participate in any of this public shaming. I focused entirely on Lila, who was confused and traumatized by the sudden changes. I arranged for therapy with a child psychologist specializing in parental manipulation. I took a month's leave from work to be with her full-time, establishing new routines and security. Vanessa attempted to contact me multiple times, first with angry accusations about the video, then with tearful pleas for reconciliation, and finally with desperate requests for financial help as her legal troubles mounted. I directed everything through my attorney and focused on healing with my daughter. The criminal charges were eventually reduced through a plea deal: 2 years probation, mandatory therapy, community service, and substantial restitution payments for the court costs and my legal expenses. The judge made it clear that the only reason she avoided jail time was consideration for Lila's well-being. 6 months after the hearing, I made the decision to move us to another state. I sold the house, bought a new one under a trust name to avoid being easily found, and transferred to my company's office in the new location. Lila started at a new school where nobody knew our story. One evening, about a year after we moved, Lila asked me a question as I tucked her into bed. "Daddy, why don't you ever say mean things about Mom? She said all those bad things about you." I sat on the edge of her bed, choosing my words carefully. Because being angry all the time hurts me more than it hurts her, and because no matter what happened between us, she's still the person who helped bring you into the world, and for that, I can only be grateful. "Do you hate her?" she asked. "No," I answered truthfully. "I'm sad about what happened, but hate takes too much energy. I'd rather use that energy to love you and build our new life." She nodded thoughtfully, seeming older than her years. "I saw her on Instagram yesterday. She looks different, sadder." I hadn't known Lila had found her mother's social media. Vanessa had started over with a much smaller following, posting about personal growth and accountability, likely the only marketable angle left to her. "People make mistakes," I said simply. "Sometimes big ones. Maybe she's learning from hers." "I'm not ready to talk to her yet," Lila said firmly. "That's okay. You don't have to do anything you're not ready for." As I turned out her light and closed her door, I reflected on our journey. I had won completely, but I took no joy in Vanessa's destruction. My victory wasn't in her downfall. It was in the peaceful life Lila and I had built from the ashes of betrayal. I never sought revenge for its own sake. I sought justice, protection for my child, and the chance to reclaim my narrative. The fact that Vanessa's elaborate deception collapsed under the weight of truth wasn't vengeance. It was consequence. In the end, I didn't defeat Vanessa. The truth did. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.